Okay. So for the third question, I was saying that, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Okay,
we can
good,
hear you,
good.
Sir.
So I was saying this is the most technical part of the first 4 questions that is focused on development impact. Now, there are 3 sections, and I expect you to have at least 3 paragraphs or 2 paragraphs, depending on how smart you are. Now, the first part is talking about the impact of the work. Like, how are you going to know when your contribution is working? Let me reinterpret it in another way. What are the things that you hope to see that will let you know that your contributions are working? That's the first one. So they want you to talk about those kind of things that you would see that will let you know, oh, my contribution is working. The second part is timeline. There has to be timeline to each one that you mentioned. How long is it going to take you to achieve those things? And the last one is the beneficiaries. So those that will benefit from the whole thing is the last one. Now, let me give a good example. Let's say you're interested in MSc food security, and then you are looking at a problem with post-harvest loss is the challenge that you hope to solve. And then your contribution to that, maybe you want to build a mobile refrigerator that will help rural farmers to store their perishable goods in real time and store it in cold temperature. Then that's what you hope to see. That first paragraph of that question will be things like improved storage of produce, adoption of your cold storage system that is mobile, while widespread adoption by rural farmers. And then lastly, you can start talking about things like preserved food and higher production, of food. More, okay. You now have readily available food than you have before. Why? Because some of these goods that get perished along the way can then be stored and they will find their way to the market, right? So these are some of the things you hope to see. And these are the things you are going to have to write in your paragraph 1. Paragraph 2 will now be, how long do you think it will take for all these parts to play out? So you have to estimate and give us timeline. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Do you think it will take 5 years? And put that there. So it's possible to write this in 1 paragraph and put it in, or separate it into 2. But there has to be a 3rd paragraph there. Now, this one has to be a standalone, and this is the beneficiaries of your contribution, of the impact of your work. Who are those that will benefit? So for the food security or food sustainability example, those that will benefit will be number 1, the rural farmers, definitely. They'll be the first to benefit because it is very likely for their income to go up now that they can sell more produce, right? Rather than sell half of what they brought from their farms because half of them got spoiled. Now they can probably sell 80%, even if it is not all that will end up, in the market, but at least up to 80% instead of 50. So that 30% increase is important to them. And so the beneficiary, number 1, will definitely be the farmers. Now, number 2 will now be those that are indirectly affected or that will be impacted by your work. And that's the people. Now, the people will definitely have access to more food. So yes, Nigerian citizens will have access to more food. Then the Federal Ministry of Agriculture will benefit because that federal government agency is the agency that is saddled with the responsibility to ensure food security And from the place of policy, if you are already doing this to improve production, then you are helping them achieve their goals. So indirectly, they are going to benefit. Another group that will benefit will be agri-focused NGOs and CSOs, because they will be happy to see you and would want to partner with you eventually. They will be happy to see you succeed. So this is how you're going to break down the beneficiaries, because you have to think around both direct beneficiaries and indirect beneficiaries and make sure that you write them out. 250 words complete. So that's my advice.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Yes, definitely. That's a good response to the questions. Know who your beneficiaries is and list down everything clearly.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question is about how the impact of your work could be best measured.
Okay, so don't forget, all 4 questions in this development impact, they need to tie together, right? It's like a series. So you can't get to a point where you start discussing something entirely new. It will not be consistent and there'll be a problem. So this question is, in 100 words, how do you measure the impact of your work? I suggest you answer this by itemizing your answer, list them. So number 1, number 2, number 3, don't write in prose, because you'll be able to get more words in if you list it, and it will be easier to comprehend than to write it in prose. Because if you write it in prose, you need conjunctions to tie everything up, and it's going to be adding up to the number of words. And before you know it, 100 words will not be enough. So if you list it, it will help you smartly, maximize that space. So I would say, answer it by saying, the impact of my work can be measured in the following ways. Number 1, then you start. Now, don't forget, I'm using the food sustainability example. So if that's the example that we are using, one way to measure the impact of your work should be the number of farmers that have decided to adopt your mobile refrigerator, the number of farmers using your mobile refrigerator. So let's say that in the beginning, there were 0, or let's say that they were, you can decide to itemize your second essay if you wish. The most important thing is that just have a clear idea of what you're trying to say. So that's fine. If you intend to itemize, no problem. That's fine. Now, so don't forget, the mobile refrigerator, the number of farmers who have decided to have one, is one way to measure the impact of your work. Because in the beginning, they might not have heard of it. So you can say is 0. But at the end of 1 year, that number could go up to 25. At the end of 2 years, it would go up to 80. So that's a way to measure the impact of your work. Another way to measure the impact of your work is the availability of food in the market. It should automatically lead to more food in the market, because what leads to less food is the fact that half of them, get lost between the farmland and the market, where during storage, post-harvest loss. So by the time you are able to bridge that gap and you sort that out, it's expected that you have more food in the market. So you should have a way to estimate that you have more food in the market, especially if you are focused on certain produce. Then you can say, okay, yams, cassava, plantain are now high, because that's the farmers that grow these items are the farmers that I targeted at first. Now, another way to measure the impact of your work is the farmer's income. The farmer's income needs to increase because they have more of their produce now sent to the market. So you need to have a way to also say, look, the income of the farmers, increase in the income of the farmers. And so you can see, I'm thinking through it right here. It's not like I have the answer set, because you can literally just think through it. So another way to measure the impact of such a work, post-harvest loss, and you have solved the problem, is what? Okay, now, not necessarily, but it could impact the price of food. Now, normally, if you have more food in the market, the price should come down. So yes, it can impact also the price of food positively. And another way to measure the impact of your work is the fact that it can also lead to collaborations, more collaborations from the government and from NGOs. Because one thing I can assure you is, if your solution is working, people would definitely wish to partner with you. So if you start getting partnerships, you are getting grants, you are getting funding, it is a way to say that your work is highly impactful, because people are willing to give you more money to produce more of the mobile refrigerator. So that's a way to also measure the impact. Before you mention these 4 or 5 things, your 100 words don't finish. I've been now. But this is how to think through it, right? And I hope this would make sense to those on the call. So that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And just to add to that is, okay, so maybe you decide to like do a project, because for when I applied mine, I decided to work in the area of a project. And then how will I measure the impact of my work? So I went to say, okay, I'll use surveys. Do you understand? So surveys, pre-survey and post-survey. So that way it can show that what number increased. Do you understand? So you can think around things like that too. So I just decided to add that. So the next question is, now, proposed study in the UK. So it says, provide a short outline of your proposed study/research. This should be written for an audience that does not have any prior knowledge of the subject and must not be overly technical. Any abbreviation or specialist term must be explained. So this is like a study outline, 125 words. So how do you think they should go about that question?
Yeah, so it's already clearly stated there. It's an outline and you have to explain everything. And it's about the study. So this is the part where you are going to pitch. Imagine that you are pitching to a committee, telling them why that course is necessary for you to solve that problem that you have mentioned in your development impact section. Why is that course so important? Is that course even the best course that would arm you with the right skill sets and knowledge to solve those problems that you have identified and you have passion to developing a novel way to resolve the problem, right? So this is where you pitch it. This is where you say, look, this course will expose me to this. This course allows the candidates to specialize in this. This course offers us A, B, C, and D. Oh, under this course, I'll also be able to do internship. This internship will make me balance, theoretical knowledge from the classroom with practical industry experience that will be useful when I return to my home country. So this is a section where you focus on the course. I expect you to spend a lot of time on the website of the program or of the course, digesting the content so much. Now, when you get to the website of this program, you would see them write the background, the objectives, the learning outcomes. This is where you are going to read all that and now construct an argument that makes sense in 125 words, telling the committee that, look, I have chosen the right course because it is, this course has got A, B, C, is going to expose me to D, E, F, and I will be able to learn, you know, F, Y, Z, right? And there is something you must be smart of here. Now, since you've chosen food sustainability, the way you describe the course, and if you choose to itemize, or should I say, select some modules to expand on, those modules must clearly resonate with the problems. It must show that, okay, the knowledge gained from these two modules will directly help you resolve the challenge of post-harvest loss, for example. So you can't be on a drift talking about another thing when you are trying to solve one issue, right? So in a nutshell, what I'm saying is your 125 words is a way for you to pitch to the committee that, look, this course is the right course because I have checked through the curriculum, I've checked through the program design, and it looks like the right course for me, for my development, and that will enable me resolve the problems I had earlier identified. That's it. Now, be careful about the kind of things you say so that you don't repeat yourself, because in the next question, you will have the opportunity to shed more light on the choice of the course, going deeper, going into even some professors that you like their work, as well as some modules suggesting dissertation topic and defending why you want to study in that school and also in the UK. So understand that you have to split the two contents, because one is 300 words and the other is 125. You don't want to repeat yourself. So I don't know whether you understand that. The first one, 125, is that you are pitching the importance of the course. The second one is that you are going deeper, justifying the choice of the course, the choice of the school, choice of UK, as well as proposing a dissertation topic. Okay, so that's my now for the dissertation topic, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to end up doing. It will just enable the committee to have a good idea of how you are thinking. So along the line, I want you to also add that, look, this is the dissertation topic you have in mind. Now, that topic must also attempt to resolve the problem. So in that topic, we need to be seeing things like novel disease to address the issue of post-harvest loss or something. So the topic must show that indeed you want to research into something that is very related to the problems that you have identified. You don't want to start picking a topic that is veering off the path and they are wondering, where is this topic coming from? When you've made a clear argument in your first essay, your very first essay, you made a clear argument, but your topic is veering off on something else. So they will be they will understand that, look, there is no consistency here. So please take notes, because I've seen this happen a lot of times where people just come up with a topic and it's totally different from what they've been talking about in essay one. So ensure that that topic matches with the issues you've been talking about. At the same time, you can put a line that also says you are open to exploring alternative options following the availability of resources in the department, as well as the guidance of your supervisor, because now you don't know what they have. You don't know whether they'll be able to execute. So it might be that they might modify, and you must be able to state that you are aware of possible limitations that could occur and you are open to such modifications, right? So that's how I would say you should answer both questions. I've answered both already. So that's it.
Okay, and just to add here, let me advise, since you are going to pick a lot of options from the website, my advice is to avoid plagiarism, don't copy word for word from the website. That would be considered as plagiarism, since you are definitely reading from the website. So do not copy word from word. Yes, you know that you saw this model. Don't say, if the model says this model is about food, don't go and copy and come and paste. That will just flag off your essay as plagiarism. Write it, think it in your own understanding, to say, okay, this model on food security will equip me with the knowledge on how to enlighten farmer to do this, that will increase this. So just tie everything together. That's what I would advise you. And to avoid the issue of stating in your essay that because of resources or this, they want to know that you've really gone through, because it's the university that will nominate you to the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship. They want to know that you've really gone through their website and you know the resources they have. Go to their website, check what the professors are doing, check the facility they have in their department already, to know that this school is this, they are strong in this, and focus. They know that, oh, you've read about us, you know about us already, and you're already a good fit for us. So that would save you stress and space to start adding that, because if you really know that you have content, what you'll be struggling with is even how to reduce content, not how to like shorten words. So that's just the advice that I'll give to that. So I'll go to the next question.
Before we move on, now, I slightly disagree with that. The reason is because 2 occasions, at the University of Greenwich during my master's, I had an idea of something I wanted to do. You go to the website, you see everything. It's different from when you get to the university in person. That is when you realize that there are some things that you might not be able to do. Why? Either because there's not enough fund, because you need to buy resources, and you are doing a thought master's. They will tell you, if it's PhD work, you can go that far, but you can't go that far. So permit me to say, it is important for you to realize that limitations occur in research, and it's normal. I experienced the same thing during my PhD, University of Manchester, the same thing. Even with PhD, you get there, and then the professor will start telling you that, okay, Milton, see, we will have to cut down on this and do this. Because there's a big difference from sitting on a website and sitting in front of a professor. 2 totally different things. So personally, I still advise that as you are recommending your dissertation, because you are in Nigeria, you don't have first-hand information of everything that is available. The website will only give you enough, but not everything. So you need to realize that it is important to also let them know that where there is a challenge or a limitation, oh, you are open to modifications, because you will be modifying. In research, it's so normal. You will modify, you will bend, you will turn, very normal. I have never seen anyone propose a topic, went to the UK and did that topic the way it is. Never, ever. Your professor will modify. So please, it's not a waste of space. It is an acknowledgement of your understanding that you know how research operates. So that's my advice.
Yeah, not to dispute you. Yes, I know definitely, because even they know that definitely, of course, you will even change. Because even now, like asking me to like do a dissertation, and they still say, yes, I know that maybe next year again, I might still have a different idea. They already know that this thing, they just want to know that if you're already thinking, so you don't have to be specific to say, my research must be on food security. You can just say, oh, I have interest in food security, conflict. That's how I just stated my own broad. I didn't give like a specific niche area, just say around this area, so they know that around this area I'll work around something and think of a proper topic. I wasn't specific to say my topic must be XYZ, blah 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 blah. So that was how I went about that. So you don't have to like panic over. They just want to know if you understand exactly what you'll be doing. So I think we've answered that question. We also answered the part of the detailed plan of the study. So I think we could just go to the career plan, which is the selection panel. We want to understand how your proposed study will assist you in your career. So describe the skills that you expect to gain from this scholarship and your career plan once you return home. So they're asking objective during their word, 250 words. So how do you think they should go about that?
Okay, so before I go on, I need to also add that, please, the audience needs to be aware that nothing is cast in stone. We can have different opinions. Precious and I can have different opinions on issues. It doesn't mean that she's right, I'm wrong, or I'm wrong, she's right. The Yorubas have one adage, Onokon Waja. It says that you can take multiple routes to the market. The most important thing here is for you to get to the market. Whether you take road A or someone else takes road B or someone else takes road C, the most important thing is that you get to the market. And nothing is cast in stone. So if there is a process that has worked for her and a process that has worked for me, it's fine. It might not be the same, right? So again, when you see us say, I disagree or this, it doesn't mean that things or something is wrong. Nothing is wrong. It's just that we are acknowledging that, look, I have used this pathway and it has worked for years, right? She has used this pathway and it worked for her, right? So it just tells you that, okay, you can see what is happening and you are the better receiving end because you can see, oh, so there are two different ways that can work here. Can I merge these styles? Can I do this? So it's even better for you. Now, for objectives, how I have done this over the years for myself and for the over 60 people that have won, fields differ. No, this even has nothing to do with the field because everybody will fill this form. So it doesn't matter, STEM or non-STEM, you are going to fill this form. For master's and PhD, I filled it twice, right? And I got it twice. So it has nothing to do with field. And I can assure you that those that will read it might not even be from your field. That is the reason why they always say you must write it in a way that is clear to anyone so that you write it like you are writing to a non-specialized audience. Because at the end of the day, the professor that might go through this stuff might not even be in your field. You don't want him to be looking up and down and doing, I don't understand what is here. That's not what you want. So you want to be as simple and as clear as possible. Okay. Now, objectives of the study. This is another section where I will advise you to itemize, right? Itemize because it becomes easier to write, in my opinion. And you can easily just state all those things. Number one, how I normally do it over the years and has worked is, number one, we'll focus on academics. So what you are going to the UK to benefit, and that is the courses. So number one, you can focus, you select some key courses. They may not be more than 3. Select some key courses that are so essential to what you are trying to learn. And say that this will arm you with the necessary skill sets for you and explain what those skill sets will be. Explain them. Number one. Number two will be, you are going to do a dissertation. And so this is an opportunity for you to learn how to do research from ideation to completion, as well as publishing. Forget what you did in undergraduate. It's nothing close to master's. And at PhD is another level entirely. So for the first time, you will appreciate proper research. You would know how to do research from ideation to completion and how to publish it. That's very important. Number 3, I would say that you can focus your number 3 now on what you will do with your findings from the research. Oftentimes it is good to go to conferences, to seminars. So this is where you talk about going out for seminars, conferences, and then talking about your work in order to, okay, share your work with senior colleagues, people of like minds for possible future collaborations, right? Now, this is number what? Number 3. Don't forget, I am paraphrasing what I think it should be. So this is where you talk about conferences and the seminars, and this will also help you improve your communication, right? The way you communicate your science or the way you communicate your findings. Number 4, you can focus that on social engagement. And this is where what's the word now? You volunteer with student societies, and it's good for you to have done your homework. So you should be able to mention a number of them and why you intend to volunteer with them. What's the connection? What's the attraction? And what you hope to gain by volunteering with them. NGOs as well as non-profits in the UK. They might actually not even be student societies. They might just be non-profits in the UK. So you should be able to explain why you want to join them in order to expand your social network. The 5th one can be focused on non-academic things now. And this is where I would like you to talk about something around visiting tourist sites, as well as historic sites too in the UK, and do your homework. So try to mention some that are actually in your host community or town before you start talking about the other big names that we know. And explain that this will help you appreciate, the diversity of human cultures, right? Because the UK is a fairly multicultural society. Some parts are some parts are largely multicultural. So this is how I will advise you to answer the objectives. By the time you fill up all these 5 points very well, you will see that your 250 words is almost done. So that's my advice from me.
Yeah, just to add to that too, I think you should also talk about like research, because masters deserve you do a research or dissertation. So you can add that to say, so during the scholarship, you tend to learn about various research methods which will help you in your project. So tie these things together. Just as he has said, maybe you want to improve your intercultural communication skills, because he has mentioned that already. The UK is home to a lot of different people from all over the world. So to say, okay, during the objective, by participating even in the Commonwealth shared scholarship events, because they're going to be events. So you tend to meet other people from across the world, learn about other cultures. So you can add things like that just to add more, to make your essay more enriching. So the next question is career plan in 5 years following the award. And you also have 250 words to write that. So how do you think they should go about that?
Well, I'm going to answer the two together, 5-year plan, long-term goal. And it's because this is the part that should be the easiest. You don't even need to talk to anybody because it's your future. If you don't know what you want to do with your life in 5 years, 10 years time, you don't deserve the scholarship, period. I don't even know how to make people feel good. I just said no time. Where you see yourself in 5 years, in 10 years. Will you become that in 5 years, 10 years? Well, usually it might not turn out to be so exactly, but at least we understand that you have a plan. It gives us an idea of how you think. It gives the community an idea of how you think. And this is the reason. Now, this is a huge investment, right? They don't want it to go to naught. They don't want it to go to waste. Someone who won't be able to utilize it to the point that they can reach out back. Take myself as an example. I finished from Greenwich 2013, and in 2021, I was given an award by my university because of the activities I've been doing. And the award was an award for the alumni that is doing so well in their home country. And the Commonwealth saw it, and at the same time, were happy to send me a congratulatory mail. Now, that shows clearly that they are proud of how much they've spent on my small head. And that's because they have seen that over the years, even though I did this thing many years ago, I've remained relevant in the system. That's the kind of person they want to spend their money on, not someone that once you are done, then you start saying that they find work. You don't know how to empower yourself. Then at the end of the day, you return to zero. Wow, it's going to be a big loss.